You know the guy. Everyone does. He used to text you about every green candle, every deal, every guys. I just doubled my position. You couldn't get him to stop talking about it. And then one day, nothing. No update. No screenshot. No guess what happened today. Just quiet. And you probably didn't even notice right away, because silence doesn't announce itself. It just fills the space where the noise used to be. Sit with this for a second. Silence, when it comes to money, is never really silence. It's a signal. And most of us miss it completely, because we've been taught that going quiet means someone's handling it. Being calm. Being an adult about it. It's the opposite. The loudest year of that guy's life was the year he was winning. The quietest year of his life was the year he lost it all. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because I want to talk about something nobody in personal finance wants to talk about. Not budgeting. Not stocks. Not some 5-step plan. I want to talk about why the people losing the most money say the least about it. Here's the thing about losing money that nobody tells you when you're 22 and opening your first brokerage account. It's not the loss that breaks people. It's the story they have to tell about the loss. Think about it. When you make money, the story writes itself. I saw the opportunity. I took the risk. I was right. That story makes you interesting at dinner. It makes you the guy people ask for advice. It confirms something you already suspected about yourself, that you're sharp, that you see things other people don't. But losing money doesn't come with a story like that. Losing money comes with a different question, one that sits underneath all the numbers, and it's this: what does it say about me that I got this wrong? That question is unbearable for a lot of people. Not because they're weak. Because somewhere along the way, we stopped separating what we do from who we are. A bad trade stopped being a bad trade. It became evidence. Evidence for a case some quiet prosecutor in the back of their mind has been building for years, the one that says you were never actually that smart to begin with. So they go quiet. Not because they're processing it calmly. Because talking about it means admitting the story was wrong. And admitting the story was wrong feels, to a lot of people, like admitting they were wrong. As a person. Not just as an investor. I've watched this happen to friends. Sharp guys. Guys with good jobs, good degrees, guys who read the news and had opinions about the Fed before it was a meme. One of them put a serious chunk of his savings into a position he was completely convinced about. Convinced the way you're convinced when you haven't been wrong about much in your life yet. It didn't go his way. And here's what got me: it wasn't the loss itself. Losses happen to everyone who ever puts money into anything. What got me was watching him disappear. Not physically. Socially. He still showed up. He still laughed at the right jokes. But there was a door that used to be open, and it just closed. Quietly. No slam. No announcement. That's the part psychology actually cares about. Not the number on the screen. The disappearing act that happens right next to it. There's a term for part of what's happening here, and it's worth knowing, not to diagnose your friends, but to understand yourself a little better. Psychologists call it the sunk cost fallacy, but that phrase gets thrown around so much it's lost its teeth. Let me put it plainer. When you lose money, especially money you can't easily explain away, your brain doesn't process it like information. It processes it like a threat. The same systems that used to protect our ancestors from a predator in the grass now light up over a stock chart. And a threatened brain doesn't want clarity. It wants distance. That's why silence feels safer than talking. Talking requires you to look directly at the thing. Silence lets you keep it in your peripheral vision, where it's blurry enough to ignore. But here's the part that really matters, the part that took me years to understand about people, including myself. Silence isn't the absence of a reaction. Silence is the reaction. When someone goes quiet about their losses, they're not being strong. They're avoiding. And avoidance always has a cost, it just gets paid later, in a different currency. Instead of a hard conversation now, you get a slow erosion of confidence, of relationships, of the willingness to ever try again. I think about money the way I think about grief. Nobody grieves out loud the whole time. Most grief happens in the car, alone, at a red light, when a song comes on you didn't expect. Financial loss works the same way. The real reckoning doesn't happen in some dramatic conversation. It happens at 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, running numbers that don't change no matter how many times you run them. And the cruel irony is this: the people around a person going through that almost never know, because the silence looks like composure. It looks like someone handling it well. We've built an entire culture around rewarding the appearance of control, so the people hurting the most learn, fast, to look the most fine. That's not resilience. That's a performance. And performances are exhausting to keep running. Let's talk about shame for a second, because that's really the word underneath all of this, even if nobody says it out loud. Shame is different from guilt. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am something bad. Guilt can push you toward a better decision next time. Shame just pushes you into a corner and asks you to stay there. Losing money publicly, or even just losing money in a way people might find out about, taps directly into shame for a lot of us, because money got tangled up with worth a long time before any of us understood what was happening. Think about how we talk about people who have it. We say they're doing well. Not they have a lot of money. They're doing well. As if the money itself is proof of some deeper quality. Discipline. Intelligence. Being put together. Flip that around, and losing money doesn't just feel like a financial setback. It feels like evidence you're not doing well. Not just financially. As a person. So the silence isn't really about the money at all. It's about protecting an identity that money got quietly attached to, somewhere around age 19 or 20, when you first realized adults judge each other by their jobs, their apartments, their vacations, the version of making it everyone around you seemed to be racing toward. I want you to picture something. A guy loses 40% of his portfolio in a bad month. He doesn't tell his girlfriend. Doesn't tell his brother. Doesn't tell the friend who got him into investing in the first place. Not because the amount is unbearable, people survive worse every day, but because telling the truth means someone else now holds a piece of information that could change how they see him. And here's the quiet tragedy in that. The people who love him would probably not think less of him at all. Most people are far kinder about our failures than we imagine, especially the people who actually know us. But he's not responding to them. He's responding to a version of them he's built in his own head, a harsher, more judgmental audience that exists nowhere except behind his own eyes. That audience is the one everyone's actually performing for. Now here's something interesting, something most people never notice because they're too close to their own patterns to see them clearly. The silence isn't random. It has a shape. It follows a pattern almost every time, and once you see it, you can't unsee it in the people around you. First comes the disappearance from the group chat. Small thing. Barely noticeable. The guy who used to comment on every market move just stops. You assume he's busy. Life happens. Then comes the deflection. If you ask directly, hey, how's that position doing? You get a vague answer. Yeah, it's fine, still holding. Not a lie, exactly. Just a door held slightly open, just enough to end the conversation without actually answering it. Then comes the overcorrection. This is the part people miss. The silent ones often start talking, loudly, about something else entirely. A new venture. A new hobby. A new certainty about a completely different subject. It's not coincidence. It's compensation. When one area of life feels like it's failing quietly, people need somewhere else to feel competent, loudly, in public, where others can see it. I watched a friend do this almost perfectly. Lost real money in a position he'd been vocal about for months. Went quiet on that. Within weeks, he was suddenly the guy with strong opinions about real estate, about crypto, about a business idea he swore was the one. He needed a stage. The old stage had collapsed under him, so he built a new one, fast, somewhere nobody could check the numbers. And the last stage, the one that worries me most, is withdrawal. Not just from conversations about money. From the whole arena. People who go quiet long enough eventually convince themselves that not trying again is safer than trying and failing where someone might notice. That's how promising, capable people end up sitting on the sidelines of their own financial lives for years. Not because they lack the ability. Because somewhere back there, the silence won, and they never figured out how to break it. That's the real cost of all this. It's not the loss itself. It's what the loss teaches someone to do next time, which is often nothing at all. So what actually breaks the pattern? Because I don't think the answer is just be more open or just talk about your feelings, the kind of line that sounds nice in a caption and does nothing in a real life. I think it starts somewhere smaller and stranger than that. It starts with separating the number from the narrative. Here's what I mean. A loss is a fact. It happened, it's measurable, it has a dollar amount attached to it, and that amount, on its own, means almost nothing about who you are. The narrative, I'm bad with money, I always mess this up, I'm not built for this, that's not a fact. That's a story you built, usually fast, usually in a moment of pain, using the cheapest available materials. Most people never separate the two. The loss and the story arrive at the same time, feel like the same thing, and get filed away together forever. So the number stops being data and starts being identity. I think about an old fisherman I read about once, who lost his boat in a storm after 30 years on the water. Everything he had was tied up in that boat. And someone asked him what he learned. He didn't say anything about the storm being his fault, or not being cut out for the sea. He said the water doesn't know your name. It's not personal. It just does what water does. That's not resignation. That's clarity. The market, like the water, doesn't know your name either. It's not judging you. It's not keeping score of your worth. It's indifferent, which is actually the kinder possibility, because indifference means you get to try again without a verdict attached. The people who recover fastest from real financial loss aren't the ones who feel it less. They're the ones who talk about it soonest, plainly, without performance, to one person who won't flinch. Not the group chat. Not the internet. One honest conversation, early, before the silence has time to calcify into identity. Because silence doesn't protect you from the loss. The loss already happened. Silence just decides what the loss gets to mean about you, and left alone long enough, it always picks the worst possible meaning. If you've made it this far with me, I want to ask you something, and then ask you for something. If any part of this has been hitting close to home, if you've been the guy who went quiet, or you've watched someone you love disappear like that without knowing why, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel and stick around. We talk about this stuff every day here. Not hype, not get rich noise. The actual psychology underneath the numbers, because I think that's where the real work is, and almost nobody's doing it honestly. And here's what I really want to know from you, because this next part matters more than anything I could tell you. Have you ever gone quiet about a loss? Not just money, could be a failed business, a bad decision, something you kept from the people closest to you because you were afraid of what it would mean about you. I'd genuinely like to read that in the comments. Not for the algorithm. Because I think a lot of people watching right now are carrying something they've never said out loud, and sometimes seeing someone else write it first is the only permission they needed. Now, back to it, because there's one more layer to this, and it's the one that actually matters most. We've talked about why people go silent. We've talked about shame, about identity, about the performance of composure. But there's a harder question sitting underneath all of it, one I haven't answered yet. What happens to the people who never break the silence? Who carry it for years? Who let one bad season convince them they were never meant to try? I've seen where that road ends, and it isn't dramatic. It's quiet, the same way the loss was quiet. A person who used to have ambition, sitting it out for a decade, telling themselves a story about caution that's really just a story about fear, dressed up to look wise. That's the version of this I want to make sure none of us become. So let's go back to where we started. That guy in the group chat. The one who used to tell you everything, and then told you nothing. I don't think he went quiet because he stopped caring. I think he went quiet because, for a while, he forgot the difference between a number and a name. He let a bad season write a verdict about who he was, and verdicts like that don't come with an appeals process, not unless someone, at some point, decides to speak first. Maybe that someone is you. not to announce your losses to the world. Nobody's asking you to post a screenshot of your worst month, but to say it once, out loud, to one person who won't flinch. To let the number be a number again, instead of a life sentence you handed yourself in the dark. There's an old line, from Ecclesiastes, that I think about more than almost anything else when it comes to money, for time and chance happeneth to them all. Not the smart ones. Not the disciplined ones. All of them. The wise and the foolish, the careful and the reckless, time and chance touch everyone eventually. That's not an excuse. It's a release. It means the loss was never proof of anything about your worth. It was just weather. And weather passes through everyone's life, without exception, without apology. The guy who went quiet isn't broken. He's just still waiting for permission to speak that nobody's ever going to hand him. He has to take it himself. Maybe that's you. Maybe it's someone you already know is sitting in that silence right now, and hasn't said a word about it, and probably won't unless somebody reaches out first. So, hit that subscribe button if this found you at the right moment, because we're going to keep pulling on threads like this one, every single day, the ones nobody else wants to talk about. And if you know someone who's gone quiet lately, about money, about a failure, about anything, send them this video. Not with a comment attached. Just send it. Sometimes that's the whole conversation right there. Share it with 5 people who need to hear it before they're ready to say it out loud themselves. And before you go, tell me the truth in the comments. Have you ever gone silent like this? And what do you want me to dig into next time we sit down together? I'll be here.